What's up, guys? This weekend Kung Fu Panda 4 dropped in theaters, so today I'm going to give you guys my full Dreamworks tier list. Before we head on into the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's just take a quick look at the tiers. So at the top here, we have all time. These are the best of the best for Dreamworks movies. Then we have the awesome tier, great, good, alright, meh, bad, and haven't seen. There are about like 10 films in here that I have not seen, so they'll be going on there. If you think I should check any of them out, recommend them in the comments, and yeah, let's just dive right into the ranking. So the first DreamWorks film is one that I actually have not seen. So that's going to be Ants, and that's going in the haven't seen tier. I know it's their first film. It's a 3D animation film like Toy Story. I saw the animation. It looks really bad. I don't really have any interest to watch it, and I really haven't seen it. So it's just going on the haven't seen tier, obviously. Then we have The Prince of Egypt. This is a really great film. Honestly, I can't really say much about it. I think it's just a very epic kind of tale. It does not feel like anything DreamWorks would normally put out nowadays. But like back in the old DreamWorks time, this was just an absolute masterpiece. Very well animated, a great story, very emotional, very powerful, amazing music, amazing characters, and it is just really powerful. It represents the story very well of Moses. And honestly, I think it works on quite a few levels. It gets a little bit slow from time to time, but I remember really enjoying it and thinking it was a great movie. So The Prince of Egypt is going on the great tier. Next up, we have Road to El Dorado. I have actually not seen this one, so going on the haven't seen tier. I heard it is pretty good, so I might check it out. Tell me if you guys recommend it. Next up, we also have Chicken Run. I have seen this one, but it's been a very long time, and I don't think I could properly put it on the tier list. So sadly, Chicken Run's also going in the haven't seen tier. I know we already got 3 films in the haven't seen tier, and we barely started this video, but I promise, guys, there's not going to be that much more. Then we have Shrek, an all-time classic. This is an amazing one. Love the characters, love the story. It is just an absolute childhood classic that I would watch day to day. Absolutely hilarious. Still, all the jokes pretty much land now. I can still listen to them and laugh out loud. It's just a hilarious, fun movie with amazing characters and a pretty great story. So I'm gonna go on the awesome tier for Shrek because it actually is an awesome movie. It is just, it's close. It's in between great and awesome, but I think it deserves to be on the awesome tier just because of how big of a classic it was. So it's going on the awesome tier. Next up, we have 2 films that I have also not seen. I'm really sorry, guys. I know we're already starting it out with all the films that I haven't seen. So here we go. Spirit, the horse movie, and Sinbad. Have not seen either of those. I heard Spirit is really good, but I'm not really interested in watching it. Most of these films, I'm just not really interested in watching it. That's why they're all at the bottom. They're just not the DreamWorks type of films that I like. I'll definitely probably check out Chicken Run again, but other than that, these just don't seem that interesting to me. But yeah, going on the haven't seen tier, Sinbad and Spirit. Alright, then we have Shrek 2. This is an all-time classic. I absolutely love Shrek 2. It just doubles down on what the first film does right. It has better characters, better jokes, just so much more fun, liveliness to it. The family dynamics, the relationship between Fiona and Shrek. There's just so much to love here. The introduction of Puss in Boots was obviously absolutely amazing. The holding out for a hero scene with them all going back into the castle. It is just such a great movie. So many amazing, memorable moments. Some great jokes. Obviously, Puss and Donkey singing Live in La Vida Loca at the end is just an all-time moment in any animated film. There is just a lot of love put into this film, and I think that's just what makes it so amazing. They really knew what the fans wanted with this film, and they just absolutely gave it to us. It's a hilarious, fun adventure film, and it just works on pretty much every single level. So for me, I'm gonna put Shrek 2 on the all-time tier because it is one of my all-time favorite DreamWorks movies. Alright, next up we have Shark Tale. And honestly, I think this one gets a little too much hate because I honestly really enjoy it. I think Will Smith is great as Oscar the Fish, and I think there's just a lot of fun to be had. So many great jokes. Obviously, putting Robert De Niro in here and Martin Scorsese is absolutely hilarious, having that kind of Godfather vibe with the sharks or whatever. It was pretty hilarious, that kind of reference. I thought that was really smart, and I think there's just a lot of fun to be had. Obviously, there's the plot holes in the story, and I think there are some issues, obviously, the ones that people pointed out. But for me, I think Shark Tale is a really fun time, and it's going to be going on the alright tier because I have an alright time watching Shark Tale. Alright, next up is one of my all-time favorite childhood classics, that is Madagascar. I watched this one pretty much every single day when I was younger, and yeah, Madagascar is just one that I grew up with. Everything about it just still works for me today. All the jokes, all the voice actors, everything about the story, it's just still very engaging, very fun, very lively, and I really love that about Madagascar. It kept me entertained as a kid, and it can keep me entertained as a teenager right now. So yeah, Madagascar still be going on the all-time tier because this is still one of my all-time favorite DreamWorks films. Next up, we have Wallace and Gromit. I just rewatched this one recently, and I can say there's a lot of fun to be had. Some of the humor is just something that you could never expect. There's some really top tier humor in here, and Wallace and Gromit are some fun little characters. Obviously, the story's not really that interesting, and there's some things, some elements that are pretty dull, stuff that is forgettable, and stuff that just doesn't work about the plot line, and not a lot of explanation about what's going on. But it has its fun moments. The jokes are hilarious, and I do like Wallace and Gromit, so they are a fun little duo. So I'm gonna be putting Wallace and Gromit on the alright tier as well. It's just an alright little film. Alright, so next up we have Over the Hedge. This is a really fun one. You can have an absolute blast just sitting back, relaxing, and watching Over the Hedge because it is hilariously entertaining. So many great characters, so many memorable moments, and there's just a lot of fun to be had. The story is very engaging, the jokes are quippy, and it all just works on so many levels. I love Hammy the squirrel. He's my all-time favorite in this film. Obviously, RJ the raccoon. He's hilarious as well. A lot of great voice cast in here. They do a phenomenal job with these characters. And I think Over the Hedge is just one that is just really entertaining. I think it's one that if you just want to be entertained and you want to just think about nothing, chill and watch a movie, Over the Hedge is probably the best in DreamWorks' catalog, where you can just chill and have an absolute blast watching it. So for me, Over the Hedge is going to be going on the awesome tier. There's a lot of fun to be had here, and I just have an absolute blast watching it. There's a couple problems here and there, but I can overlook that because I just have an absolute blast watching it. Alright, so next up over here we have Flushed Away. Have not seen this one. It's going on the haven't seen tier. And then we have Shrek the Third. This is probably the first big disappointment on this list. Shrek the Third was just a huge misfire. You guys all saw it. It really missed on every single level. It doesn't do what the first two films did, which make them great. The jokes don't really land. The introduction of some of the newer characters are pretty annoying. The story here is just not as interesting, not as engaging. It just doesn't work on pretty much any level for me. There is some alright moments with Donkey and Shrek, and there's some memorable scenes. Like there are a couple scenes that I go back and I remember and I laugh about. But other than that, it just doesn't work on pretty much any level for me. So Shrek the Third, it's going on the bad tier, sadly. Alright, so next up on the list we have the B movie, and as a movie, this is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But as a meme, this is probably one of the best memes of all time. The B movie works on every single level as a meme, but as a movie, it's just an absolute disgrace. It's horrible. It's stupid, the plot makes no sense. Why is a woman falling in love with a bee and breaking up with her boyfriend to be with a bee? It is just absolutely stupid. But as a meme, it's hilarious. There's so many jokes that make no sense and shouldn't be in a movie like this, but they are, and they absolutely land. They make you laugh out loud. There are so many moments in here that are like, why is this happening? But it's hilarious to watch. I think it just works as like not a movie, but as like a meme. This is a full-length meme movie. And I think that's what makes the B movie an alright film. I don't want to put it on the alright tier because it's not a well-made good movie, but it's absolutely hilarious. Probably one of the funniest movies I've seen just because of how ironically bad it is. So I'm gonna have to put the B movie on the alright tier. Alright, next up, my all-time fave, Kung Fu Panda, the OG. This one's just an absolute classic. Everything about it, the characters, just the journey that Po goes on in the beginning of this film. Tai Lung, one of the greatest movie villains of all time, just absolutely fantastic. The fight scenes are great. The lessons are amazing. Shifu and Po's training, oh man, it works on so many levels. Of course, the five are amazing in this film. So sad they weren't in Kung Fu Panda 4 because they are a highlight for me in this film. Just works on so many levels. The voice cast is absolutely amazing. Jack Black does his best with the character in this first movie. So Kung Fu Panda is going on the all-time tier. Just absolutely everything about it is amazing. So it's going on the all-time tier. Alright, so next up we have Madagascar 2. And honestly, I love the Madagascar franchise. Like I said, the first one is one of my childhood classics. And the second one, I think it stays somewhat on par with the first film. It is a pretty solid sequel. I like the introduction of Alex's dad and them being out in the wild. I think them just trying to find themselves inside of Africa was pretty interesting. There's not a lot of the scenes where they're all together and having like those wild adventures like in the first film. But I think there's a lot that works here. I love the penguins as well. A lot of great jokes, a lot of great character moments. And I think, the development of Alex and Marty's friendship in here is as good as it can be. There are some stupid things here with some of the story, and obviously the plot with Melman just wasn't really interesting, kind of stupid. But I really did enjoy Madagascar 2, so I think it still deserves to be on the great tier because it's a great movie for me. Alright, next up we have Monsters vs. Aliens. Also rewatched this one pretty recently and did not hold up as well as I thought it would be. I think there's just a lot that doesn't work. The story's kind of stupid. The way that they just make your Ginormica and then the story just goes on, kind of stupid. Obviously, the fighting is pretty cool. I like some of the side characters; they are funny. But I think just as a movie, it doesn't really work. There are some good laughs to be had in here, but I think it is just a really meh film. Alright, so next up we have the OG How to Train Your Dragon. This is honestly a really great film. I'm gonna disappoint some people with this, but it is not one of my all-time favorite DreamWorks films, and I didn't really grow up with this movie. It's still a great film. I love the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless and how they kind of find something within each other. I think that's really great. There's a great bond between them. I think the relationship with Hiccup and his dad is like a nice little emotional part of this film, but I think it just kind of ends up being kind of forgettable for me in quite a few elements. There are some great jokes, there's some good fun to be had, and I do really enjoy the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless, but it doesn't really stick with me like a lot of the other DreamWorks films. It is a great film, and I'll give it that. And I know a lot of you guys love the OG How to Train Your Dragon, but for me, I think it's just a good movie because I don't know, it's just not one that I really think of going back to, and not one that I remember that often. I know a lot of you guys are going to be disappointed with that, but sadly, How to Train Your Dragon is just going to be going on the good tier for me. So next up is Shrek Forever After. This is the fourth film in the Shrek franchise, and let's just say at least it's not Shrek the Third. Obviously, I wouldn't say this is a great film, and I wouldn't say it's a return to form like to the first two films, but there are some good moments in there. There's some good jokes. I like what they do with Shrek and his story about going back and wanting to have one more day as an ogre. I think that was pretty interesting. There's like a lot of kind of holes in the story and the plot. I do like Rumpelstiltskin. He's an alright villain. There are some things to enjoy about this film. Obviously, the romance between Fiona and Shrek by the end, I like that a lot. And there are some moments to be had. There's some fun to be had, but Shrek Forever After just doesn't work like the first two films do. So for that, I'm gonna put it on the alright tier. I wish it was better because I think ending the Shrek franchise off with this film was just not it. Alright, so next up we have my boy who just got massacred last week. Sadly, Megamind got absolutely massacred with Megamind 2, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate. I'm sorry, my boy, because this first film was absolutely amazing. I really loved the first Megamind. Will Ferrell, the whole cast here is absolutely amazing. The jokes, the story with the villain becoming the superhero, it's obviously great. We all know that Megamind is an absolutely fantastic film. So much fun to be had here. I think this is just one that DreamWorks they really had a great original idea with Megamind, and I think it just works on a lot of levels. I have so much fun with the characters, the cast, the characters, the voice cast, really great. Obviously, Titan's a great villain as well, and they just do so much well, even with the romance between Megamind and Suzanne. Just so much to enjoy about this film, and that's why Megamind's going on the awesome tier. I'm really sad that they massacred my boy last week because this is a really great film, and I think it would have been cool to see a sequel, but we got Megamind and the Doom Syndicate, and I would not say that's a sequel. So yeah, Megamind on the awesome tier. It is a pretty awesome film. Alright, so next up on the list we have Kung Fu Panda 2, and this is the best of the best for me. This is my all-time favorite DreamWorks movie, and I think it just works on so many levels. It does what the first movie did right and doubles down on that. It gives Po a much more emotional backstory, seeing what happened to his parents and how they were killed by Shen, really emotional, and it really gives you the full journey of Po's self-discovery and finding out who he is and who he's destined to be, and I think that's just really amazing. It's a great story, it's a great growth and development for his character, and it just goes really deep with this story. I think it just really hits on those emotional notes. It's really deep with his character growth, and I think it just works on all those levels. Obviously, Shen is an amazing villain as well, and I love what they do with the Furious Five in here. The relationship between Tigress and Po is just such a strong bond, and it really works in this film as well. There's just a lot of great moments in here as well. Obviously, the comedy still works again, just hitting on every single note, and I think this film just does everything that I've wanted from a Kung Fu Panda sequel, and it just works on every single level. So Kung Fu Panda 2 is my favorite DreamWorks movie, and it is going on the all-time tier. Kung Fu Panda 2 is just a masterpiece. Alright, so next up we have Puss in Boots, and honestly, this first film, it's a fun little adventure. Honestly, Puss in Boots is a great character. Antonio Banderas does a great voice for the character, and there's some fun little moments here. I actually liked Humpty Dumpty in this movie. I think the relationship that he has with Puss, and they're kind of like what happened to them when they were younger, and then how they grew apart, and then now they have like a hatred against each other, and I think that was really interesting. I like the story between them. Obviously, it's nothing like a Shrek movie. There are some like lagging moments. There's not too much to it with the story, but I do like the characters. I do like the jokes. There's enough quips in there to have an entertaining time, so it is going on the alright tier. I do like the first Puss in Boots movie. Alright, so next up we have the final film in the Madagascar series, Madagascar 3, and honestly this was the weakest of the series, but I still enjoy it. The comedy still hits, obviously the voice cast is great, and I do like the story. I like introducing Dubois as like a main villain, because I think that was really interesting. She is a really funny villain. She had like some really standout moments in there, a lot of memorable moments with her character. I really like that. Obviously Alex, Marty, Gloria Melman, great characters again. I like what they were doing with them. But I think the introduction to the new characters just didn't really work for me. In the circus element, while I do like some of the scenes in that with the whole Katy Perry fireworks scene where they're all just doing their super cool circus moves or whatever, it was a pretty cool scene. It's very memorable, but I think that just the circus element doesn't work for these characters, and I didn't really like the introduction of the new character, especially Gia. She was really annoying, and Stefano, I didn't really like him that much. But I do like what they do with Matali. Matali is a great character. I think he had quite a bit of depth, and how he lost everything and then he's coming back to the show business because Alex, Marty, and the gang inspired him, and I think that was really interesting. I liked his story. The other characters I wasn't so fond of, and I think there's a bit missing from this third film, but it is still a solid entry in the Madagascar franchise, and I really hope we do get a Madagascar 4 sometime in the future. So with that said, I'm gonna have to give Madagascar 3 on the alright tier. It's an alright film. So next up on the list we have Rise of the Guardians. This was a really great film that I remember watching when I was younger. I honestly was really scared of the Boogeyman when I was little, and I think this one just really hit with the villain. I think Boogeyman is a really scary villain, and it honestly works for the darker tone of this film. So I really like the Boogeyman. Obviously here with the characters, the Guardians, I like the relationship that they have with each other, the dynamic. There's a lot of nice little quips and jokes in here, even though it is one of the darker films in the Dreamworks franchise. I think it just works on quite a few levels. I do like the story. I think just the themes that they explore and the lessons that are here about just not growing up so fast and enjoying those moments and being able to believe in Santa the Easter Bunny and stuff. And I love like the holiday themes in here. I really enjoy that. I think Rise of the Guardians was a really great film, and it deserves to go on the great tier. So yeah, Rise of the Guardians, great film. Honestly darker than the rest of the Dreamworks films, but it works on that level too. Alright, next up we have the first Croods movie, and I remember watching this one in the theater when I was little and quite enjoying it. I love the family dynamics with this group of characters. I think that it's really fun. I love Guy. I think he's a really interesting and fun character, and I like that dynamic he has with Grug. I think there's just a lot of fun to be had with the family, and a lot of great moments. Obviously the story just doesn't really work, and there's a lot of moments that kind of like drag along, and it is kind of a forgetful movie because I don't remember it all that much, but I do remember watching it recently. I had some fun with it. There's some alright moments. It deserves to be on the alright tier. It's nothing much, but it's an alright Dreamworks film. Alright, so next up is Turbo, and this is a really fun film. I remember really loving this one when I was younger, and I still do. I think it's still a lot of fun. I know it's not really an amazing movie. It feels like the B movie, but it's better than the B movie. The B movie's horrible, but Turbo actually has a good story. Even though it is stupid, it sounds stupid just like the B movie, but it kind of works on more levels. I like the comedy. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with these characters. I like the story of him racing in the Indy 500 by the end. I think it's just like a really fun little like underdog kind of story just about a snail. And it's kind of stupid, but there's a lot of fun to be had with Turbo. So I'm going to put it on the alright tier. It's honestly a little bit higher on the alright tier for me. I just really enjoy Turbo. I know a lot of you guys won't agree with me on that one, but Turbo is a really fun film and I enjoy it. Alright, next up we have Mr. Peabody and Sherman. This one, I don't really remember it all that much. I think I have remembered enough to put it on the tier, but Mr. Peabody and Sherman, kind of a forgetful one. I do remember the little relationship between Sherman and that girl. There was all the time travel antics and all that stuff. That was pretty interesting. I really liked them going through going with the time travel. I like the dynamic between Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Obviously, there's some fun to be had, some good jokes, some like laughs here and there. But honestly, for me, it kind of is a meh film. I don't really remember it all that much, sadly, and I don't want to put it in the haven't seen tier because I have seen it quite a bit and I actually do remember it, but I just don't remember liking it all that much. It has its moments, sure. The dynamic between Mr. Peabody and Sherman is interesting, but for me, it feels like it's on the meh tier, guys. Sorry. Next up, we have How to Train Your Dragon 2, and like I said, I'm not really a fan of the How to Train Your Dragon movies, and I think this is the weakest in the trilogy. Obviously, there is some good to it. I really like what happens with Hiccup's dad, and that dynamic more, continuing on from the first film to the second film, and I like that they're able to, reconnect and have that stronger bond. I don't like bringing in Hiccup's mom in here. I think that's what really brings the film down. I felt like it kind of just messed with the plot quite a bit, messed with our characters, and I felt like Hiccup's mom was just a really annoying character that it did make sense why she left Hiccup, and it just, I don't know, I just really didn't like having her inside this film. There's some alright moments. It's going in the alright tier, like you can already hear that. Man, there's a lot of films in the alright tier. But yeah, How to Train Your Dragon 2, it's an alright film. Nothing too much to it for me, but I know a lot of you guys probably love it. Next up we have Penguins of Madagascar. I absolutely love this one. I think it's absolutely hilarious. The relationship that these four penguins have is just better. It's like a great dynamic. I love the team within them. I love Skipper and Private's dynamic. I love Dave as the villain. I think there's just so much fun to be had. Obviously, all the jokes land. I think the comedy is peaking here. And honestly, it really like works on the same level as the Madagascar films. It really works on that level. I think there's a lot of really great ideas explored. I think there's a lot of fun to be had. And you know, I just love that kind of family bond that they have with each other. And I think that's really special. I really enjoyed the Penguins of Madagascar. It's going on the good tier for me. That's pretty surprising. It's going right next to How to Train Your Dragon on the good tier. The Penguins of Madagascar, it's a really good movie. I enjoy it so much. Next up we have Home, and Home is one that I do remember watching in theaters. I think it is a somewhat fun movie. I think there are some good one-liners, some good jokes here and there, but I don't really like our main characters. I think they're very unlikable. They're not something that you can really connect to. So that's kind of just what makes the film fall flat for me. I think I'm going to have to put it on the med tier. I do like some of the jokes. I do like some of the moments. I think there is a lot of cool animation actually in this film. There's a lot of cool things that they do with the animation. But for me, like, I don't know. I just couldn't really connect with the characters. So that kind of makes it a more meh film for me. Alright, then we have Kung Fu Panda 3. Obviously on par with the trilogy for me. I think out of the first three, it is the weakest one, but that's only for one reason, and it's just like a little bit of the Panda Village was. I think they rushed too much into it, but other than that, it's a perfect film. Kai is an amazing villain. I love his theme song. He just has such a presence when he comes on screen. Obviously, they continue Poe's journey, and it comes full circle here. It ends off on a really nice note. I really like the final battle in the spirit realm and him finally becoming the true dragon warrior that talked with Ugoy at the end. There's just so much to love here. Kung Fu Panda 3 is going in the all-time tier for me because it's still an I just clicked Trolls Band Together by accidentally. That's okay. But yeah, Kung Fu Panda 3. I love it. It's an awesome film and it just works on so many levels for me. So it's going in the all-time tier. Yeah, right there. Alright, next up we have the first Trolls movie, and yeah, I guess they wanted me to talk about Trolls really quick because I accidentally clicked Trolls Band Together, but yeah, first Trolls movie, it doesn't work. It's goofy, it's a bad film, it's just a really cringy, it's hard to watch. I think there's a lot of moments that are hard to watch. There are some pop songs that work, there are some good laughs, but it's just a bad film in general. It's not something that I'd ever go back and rewatch, and I think most of you can agree with me on that one. And then the first Boss Baby, another kind of bad film that I'm gonna have to put on the bad tier. Yeah, obviously I feel like the characters are unlikable. It's not really an interesting story. It's kind of stupid. There's just not a lot of fun in this one. I don't think the jokes really work. I don't think the characters are really interesting. And honestly, even though the story does sound like an interesting premise on paper, it didn't really work at all for this film. So yeah, it's on the bad tier for me, sadly. Now we have the Captain Underpants movie, and I absolutely love this one. I think it's absolutely hilarious. And I grew up reading the Captain Underpants books, and I remember first watching this one in theaters opening night, and I remember being so hyped because I was like 10 years old at the time, and it was just it's an absolute blast to watch. I think the jokes land, and I think the relationship between Harold and George is something that we all really wanted as kids, like that really great friendship, the great companionship that they have, and I think that's amazing. Obviously, the imagination with this film, with Captain Underpants, it just works on a lot of levels, and growing up as a Captain Underpants fan, this is a really great film for me. I think it just works on so many fronts. There are some things that they could have done better with Professor Poopy Pants and like that villain plot with it, but he still is hilarious. I love the jokes that are cracked throughout the entire film. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I know it's potty humor, but it works on a lot of levels. For me, Captain Underpants deserves to go on the great tier because there's a lot of great friendship explored with Harold and George, and just the jokes, the story in general, just very interesting, very enjoyable. I love the Captain Underpants movie. Alright, next up we have the final film in the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World, and honestly this one was on the same level as How to Train Your Dragon 2 for me. I did like this one a little more. I like the exploration of the hidden world. I think it was really interesting. I like the villain in here. I really like having the Light Fury and the relationship that she has with Toothless. I think there's a lot of great elements inside this film, but it does end up being kind of forgettable for me. I think there's a lot of elements that kind of drag on in the story, and it does come full circle for the trilogy. And I think if you are a fan of the How to Train Your Dragon movies, you love this one. It's a great way to close out the trilogy. Obviously, ending with Hiccup being older and telling the stories to his kids, really think that was a really great way to end off the trilogy. And I do think How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is still an alright film for me. I'm being a little harsh on it, but I don't really connect with How to Train Your Dragon films, but it still deserves to be on the alright tier. I really like The Hidden World. Alright, so next up we have Abominable, and this one was alright. I think this is the most alright DreamWorks film, because I think there are some moments that are really meh, it kind of drags out, but it's funny. There's some nice little emotion with the characters, they have a nice little connection, and yeah, it just works on some levels, it doesn't work on some levels, and I can't really think about it properly, but I'm just gonna say it's an alright film, because I do remember having some fun with it. I think it is an alright film. Deserves to be on the alright tier. Actually, you know what? Yeah, alright. It's a lower alright, but we'll rank those after. Alright, then we have Trolls World Tour. This was a little better than the first Trolls movie, but not by a lot. I do like exploring the different, music genre worlds. I think that was a really cool idea that they explored. But obviously the characters are not interesting. I can't connect with them at all. I think the story does drag out, but just exploring the different worlds just makes this film not deserve to be on the bad tier. It deserves to be on the mid tier. I do like exploring those different music genre worlds, and there are some good tunes in there. Alright, so next up we have The Croods: A New Age, and honestly I like this one a little bit better than the first Croods movie. I think it works. They add a couple more elements that just make it a little better. I like the relationship that they have with the new family, and I think the little clash that they have with each other, and Grug not really liking the new lifestyle, but the rest of the family like really enjoying that. I think there's a lot of good clashes with the family dynamics, and them being able to come together by the end. It just works on that level. It's a simple story about family, and it does work by the end. I like the comedy. I like exploring this world a little more, and yeah, The Croods: A New Age, pretty good. Nothing too much to it, but it works, and it's still going on the alright tier, but it does have a couple more elements that improve it over the first film. Alright, now we have Spirit Untamed. I haven't seen the first Spirit, so I obviously haven't seen this one, so that's going on the haven't seen. Then we have Boss Baby Family Business, and I honestly think this one was a little better than the first film. I think, the jokes land a little more. They explore some things that make it a little bit better, but not by a lot, so I'm going on the med tier there. Alright, so next is The Bad Guys, and I really enjoyed this film. I like the dynamic between these characters. I think they have a really good relationship, a really good friendship dynamic, and they're kind of a family to each other. It's like the Penguins of Madagascar reincarnated. They did it a little bit different, but it still works. I like the bad guys turning to the good guys. I think they had a really great story with it. Yeah, it's like Megamind and the Penguins of Madagascar kind of mixed together. I did read the Bad Guys books when I was younger, and I really enjoyed them, so I like seeing this on the big screen. And, I really like the animation style. I think it's a little different from what we see from DreamWorks, and I really like what they did there. There's a lot of cool moments. There's a little bit of emotion, and I just really like the team dynamic. I think that's the main part of the film that I really enjoy. There are some things in here that are kind of dumb. I don't really like the story too much, and I think that there are a couple characters that just are really annoying, especially that fox or whatever, the ninja fox. Don't remember her name, but I remember not really liking her in the film. But yeah, The Bad Guys, really solid entry in the film. I really enjoyed it. I think I'm going to have to actually put it on the good tier. Definitely lower end, but The Bad Guys is still a really good movie. Alright, next up we have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Honest masterpiece. It's going in the all-time tier easily. I think we all know why. The Puss in Boots: The Last Wish just works on so many levels. I can't believe they actually made this film. Like, it's such a surprising that randomly the second film in the Puss in Boots movies is one of the best DreamWorks films of all time. It's weird, but it works on so many levels. Obviously, Death is an amazing villain. The comedy hits, the action hits, the emotion with Puss's character, and the growth that he goes through. I think it just works so well, and I really do like some of the animation here. They play with it really well, and the sidelines too, with Goldilocks and the Three Bears, their little relationship, that honestly made me cry by the end. I think, them being able to be a family by the end was really sweet, and yeah, obviously the stuff with Puss and Death, him coming to terms with he's not afraid to die anymore, and there's just so much to love about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I could ramble on and on about how much I love this film, but yeah, it's just so surprising to me that the second film in the Puss in Boots franchise is just an absolute masterpiece. But yeah, it's going on the all-time tier. Then we have the Teenage Kraken movie. Haven't seen. Trolls Band Together. Also haven't seen because I didn't like the first two Trolls movies. So yeah, leaving us to the final film, that is Kung Fu Panda 4. And I'm sorry to say, guys, I was highly disappointed with this movie. I do not think it really worked. I think there's a lot of good comedy in there, and I do like when Shifu was on screen, which was bare minimum, but there's a lot of flaws in here. I really think they wasted bringing back the old villains. Having No Fears 5 in here was a horrible idea. Making Poe not the Dragon Warrior anymore is just really stupid because he finally came full circle with his arc in Kung Fu Panda 3, but now they want to keep advancing it to Spiritual Leader of the Valley or whatever, and I think that's kind of stupid. I feel like the Dragon Warrior is something that Poe, he knows he is that, and he had that whole journey in the first three movies to be that, and I think them just getting rid of that in this film was stupid. I do not like the side character in Zen. She feels like another Cruz Ramirez, like from Cars 3. Feels like another annoying side character that's just taking over the franchise and being really annoying. I just really didn't like her. I think she was really annoying. And, she even betrayed Poe, and now she's the new Dragon Warrior. So, screw that. I think that was stupid. Chameleon's a really bland villain. They kind of wasted the cool potential that they had with the fight scenes. But yeah, I do like the animation. I think there are some cool elements in there, but it just doesn't work for me. It really falls flat. It feels like another Toy Story 4. I know some of you guys liked it, but I think it was really unnecessary and didn't work for the franchise at all. And this is what this one is. I'm not going to include it in the franchise when I think about it. It's only going to be the OG trilogy. So yeah, Kung Fu Panda 4 for me. Sadly, it's going on the bad tier. Alright, so now that we have completed the Dreamworks tier list, let's rank all these films from worst to best. At the absolute bottom for me, I'm actually going to go with Trolls. I think it is the worst Dreamworks film that I have seen. Then, I'll go Boss Baby. And then between Shrek the Third and Kung Fu Panda 4, I did have some more fun with Kung Fu Panda 4, even though I think it is such a huge disappointment. So was Shrek the Third when it came out, but I could go back and forth on them, but I'm going to leave it like that. Kung Fu Panda 4 at the top of the bad tier. Next up on this tier, we're going to go at the bottom with Trolls World Tour. Then I'll go Boss Baby Family Business. Then Home. Then Monsters vs. Alien, Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I think Mr. Peabody and Sherman could be on the alright tier. I think I need to give it another watch. But yeah, I don't really remember. I think it's a pretty meh film for me. Alright, now we have the alright tier, and this is a lot of films to rank, so let's just go through it. I think at the bottom for me, I'm going to keep it with... no, I'm not going to give it... bro, the B movie is just so weird to rank. It feels so different from any of these films. But yeah, B movie, let's just say it's at the bottom of the alright tier because I don't know, it just is. Then I'll go with Shrek Forever After, How to Train Your Dragon 2. Then I'm gonna go actually I'll go Abominable at the bottom there, and then Shrek Forever After, How to Train Your Dragon 2. And let's see what we got here. Then I'll go Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Oh man, this is actually a hard one to rank. I know that I'm going to put Turbo at the top, so I'm going to leave it there. And then I'm going to have... Frick, this is tough. Wallace and Gromit, Were-Rabbit. Crudes. Yeah, I'll leave Crudes there. And then I'll have... We'll switch How to Train Your Dragon Hidden World and Puss in Boots. We'll have Puss in Boots there. Guys, I know you guys are going to be mad at me for putting the How to Train Your Dragon film so low, but that's just my list. Then here, we'll go Madagascar 3, Crudes a New Age. Shark Tale, guys, I know it sounds wild, but I'm going to put Shark Tale on the second spot for the alright tier and have Turbo as my number one there. I know. I think I could go either way with a lot of these films, but for now, let's just leave it like that. On the good tier, at the bottom, I'm going to go with The Bad Guys, then Penguins of Madagascar, then How to Train Your Dragon. I like it how it is. Really love all three of these films. I think they're really good, and they just really worked for me. Alright, on the great tier, at the bottom, I'm going to go Rise of the Guardians. And then Madagascar 2, then The Prince of Egypt, then Captain Underpants. I think Captain Underpants is absolutely awesome. It's you know what? I'm gonna switch Rise of the Guardians and Madagascar 2. Madagascar 2 at the bottom, Rise of the Guardians, Prince of Egypt, Captain Underpants. That's it. Solidified. I really like that. Alright, next up on the awesome tier, we're gonna go Over the Hedge at the bottom. Shrek and Megamind. Frick, I love both those films. They're so good. I'm going to go Megamind slightly ahead of Shrek, just because I feel bad that Megamind got the most dookiest sequel. And you know what? So did Shrek. So did Shrek. But yeah, Megamind on the awesome, at the top of the awesome tier. Really close with Shrek. I think they could go neck and neck right there. And then on the all-time tier, which is surprising, it is the second highest tier with the most movies on it, other than the all-right tier. And so yeah, on the all-time tier at the bottom, I'll go Madagascar at the bottom. I really love it. It's an all-time childhood classic, but it's not as good as these five. Then we'll go Kung Fu Panda 3. Then I'll go Shrek 2, Kung Fu Panda, The Last Wish, and Kung Fu Panda 2. You guys already know Kung Fu Panda 2 is my all-time favorite DreamWorks movie. I like how that is. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, absolutely amazing. Kung Fu Panda, yep. Shrek 2, Kung Fu Panda 3, Madagascar. Alright, so that is my final ranking for my DreamWorks tier list. Tell me what your guys' tier list is down below. If you want to say your top 5 films, just tell me them in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.